A ceiling fan that weighs 45 pounds must be supported by an outlet box that is specifically listed for that weight. This ensures the safe and secure installation of the fan. A meter disconnect is a disconnect that may be required by the authority having jurisdiction. This means that the local electrical inspector or governing body has the final say on whether or not a disconnect is needed at the meter. If voltage is doubled and the resistance is halved, the current is quadrupled. This follows Ohm's law, which states that current is directly proportional to voltage and inversely proportional to resistance. An incandescent lamp is a lamp that has a filament enclosed in a glass bulb with a partial vacuum. These lamps produce light by heating the filament until it glows. A grease pit at a service station that is unvaporized is classified as a Class 1 Division 2 hazardous location. This is because there is a potential for flammable vapors to be present, but not under normal operating conditions. When using 2 lock nuts on rigid metal conduit, you should use a wire that is one size larger than the trade size of the conduit. This is to ensure that the wire is properly protected and that there is enough space for the conductors. Transformer windings are built on a core. The core provides a path for the magnetic flux that is essential for the transformer to function. If the peak value of a sine wave is 141.44 volts, the root mean square value is 100 volts. The root mean square value is the effective value of the AC voltage. The smallest motor size that you can use without using any deductions is 0.5 horsepower. This means that you can use a 0.5 horsepower motor without having to make any adjustments to the circuit based on motor size. To connect a meter to measure voltage drop, connect the meter in parallel with the load. This allows the meter to measure the voltage difference across the load. Electrical non-metallic tubing, or ENT, is a type of raceway that is made of polyvinyl chloride and is color-coded according to the application. This makes it easy to identify the type of wiring system being used. A time delay on make switch is a time delay switch that is energized, and 10 seconds pass before the contacts become energized. This type of switch is used to delay the activation of a circuit. When using a hand bender to bend a 90-degree stub up in a piece of 1/2 inch intermediate metal conduit, the deduct is 6 inches. The deduct is the amount of conduit that needs to be subtracted from the desired length to account for the bend. A direct current power supply converts alternating current voltage to direct current voltage using diodes. Diodes allow current to flow in only one direction, which is necessary for converting alternating current to direct current. The minimum switch configuration for controlling a bell from one location is a single-pole, single-throw switch. This type of switch is the simplest type of switch and is commonly used for basic on-off control. The total capacitance of a circuit of 4 capacitors rated at 10 microfarads each wired in parallel with one another is 40 microfarads. When capacitors are connected in parallel, the total capacitance is the sum of the individual capacitances. When using a 20 amp circuit breaker, the receptacle should be good for 15 amps. This is because the receptacle is only rated for 15 amps, even though the circuit breaker can handle 20 amps. When a maintenance person is going underground, the cables must be color-coded, enclosed, and 2 feet apart from one another. This is to ensure the safety of the maintenance person and to prevent damage to the cables. A series circuit is a circuit where all components are connected in tandem. In a series circuit, the current is the same throughout the circuit, but the voltage is divided among the components. Firstly, let's delve further into the concept of ceiling fan support. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, mandates that ceiling fans, especially those weighing over 35 pounds or equipped with mounting screws directly attaching to the outlet box, must be supported independently of the outlet box itself. This typically involves using a fan-rated outlet box that is securely attached to a ceiling joist or other structural member capable of supporting the fan's weight and any dynamic loads generated during operation. Secondly, regarding the meter disconnect, the authority having jurisdiction, or OJ, can be a local electrical inspector, a utility company, or another governing body. Their requirement for a meter disconnect is often based on safety regulations and the need to isolate the electrical service for maintenance or emergency purposes. The AHJ ensures that electrical installations comply with applicable codes and standards. Thirdly, let's reiterate Ohm's law, which governs the relationship between voltage, current, and resistance. The formula is voltage equals current times resistance, or volts equals amps times ohms. If you double the voltage and halve the resistance, the current increases by a factor of 4. For example, if you start with 120 volts and 10 ohms, the current is 12 amps. Double the voltage to 240 volts and halve the resistance to 5 ohms, and the current becomes 48 amps. Fourthly, incandescent lamps have largely been replaced by more energy-efficient lighting technologies like compact fluorescent lamps, or CFLs, and light-emitting diodes, or LED. However, understanding their basic construction and operation is still important. The filament, typically made of tungsten, is heated by electrical current until it emits light. The partial vacuum within the glass bulb produces oxidation of the filament, extending its lifespan. Fifthly, the classification of hazardous locations is defined in Article 500 of the NEC. Class 1 locations involve flammable gases or vapors. Division 2 locations are those where flammable substances are normally confined but may escape in case of an accident. The specific requirements for wiring and equipment in these locations are designed to minimize the risk of ignition. Sixthly, the practice of upsizing the wire when using 2 lock nuts on rigid metal conduit addresses a potential issue with the grounding path. 2 lock nuts are commonly used to secure the conduit to an enclosure. However, if the lock nuts are not properly tightened, they may not provide a reliable electrical connection. Upsizing the wire ensures that there is sufficient cross-sectional area to carry fault current back to the source, even if the lock nut connection is compromised. Seventhly, transformer cores are typically made of laminated steel. The lamination reduces eddy current losses, which are energy losses caused by circulating currents within the core material. The core provides a low reluctance path for the magnetic flux, concentrating the magnetic field and improving the transformer's efficiency. Eighthly, the root mean square or RMS value of an alternating current or AC waveform is its effective value. It is the equivalent direct current or DC value that would produce the same amount of heat in a resistive load. The relationship between the peak value and the RMS value for a sine wave is root mean square equals peak value divided by the square root of 2. In this case, 141.44 volts divided by the square root of 2 is approximately 100 volts. Ninthly, the NEC has specific requirements for motor circuit protection. These requirements vary depending on the motor's horsepower rating. For smaller motors, the overcurrent protection can be sized closer to the motor's full load amperage or FLA. However, for larger motors, the overcurrent protection must be sized larger to allow for the image current that occurs when the motor starts. Tenthly, when measuring voltage drop, it's important to remember that voltage drop is the reduction in voltage along a conductor due to the conductor's resistance. Excessive voltage drop can cause equipment to malfunction. The NEC recommends limiting voltage drop to no more than 5% in branch circuits and feeders. 11thly, electrical non-metallic tubing, or ENT, is a flexible corrugated raceway that is often used for concealed wiring in walls and ceilings. The color coding helps to identify the type of circuit or system that the raceway is used for, such as power, lighting, or communications. 12thly, time delay relays are used in a variety of applications where a time delay is required. For example, they can be used to delay the start-up of a motor or to provide a timed lighting control. A time delay on make relay activates its contacts after a set delay time has elapsed. 13thly, the deduct for a conduit bend is the amount of conduit that is consumed by the bend. This amount varies depending on the size of the conduit, the bending radius, and the type of bender being used. It's important to account for the deduct when calculating the total length of conduit needed for a run. 14thly, diodes are semiconductor devices that allow current to flow in only one direction. They are commonly used in power supplies to convert AC voltage to DC voltage. A diode bridge rectifier is a common circuit configuration that uses 4 diodes to convert AC to DC. 15thly, a single-pole, single-throw, or SPSD switch is the simplest type of switch. It has 2 terminals and can either be open or closed. When the switch is closed, the circuit is complete and current can flow. When the switch is open, the circuit is broken and current cannot flow. 16thly, capacitance is the ability of a capacitor to store electrical energy. The total capacitance of capacitors in parallel is the sum of the individual capacitances. So, 4 10 microfarad capacitors in parallel have a total capacitance of 40 microfarads. 17thly, the National Electrical Code or NEC section 210.21 B1 states that a receptacle on a 20 amp circuit must be rated no less than the circuit breaker for use on general use circuits. 18thly, when working underground, the color coding of cables helps to identify the different circuits. Enclosing the cables and conduit protects them from physical damage. Maintaining a 2-foot separation between cables reduces the risk of interference or arcing. 19thly, in a series circuit, the components are connected end to end, so the same current flows through each component. The total resistance of a series circuit is the sum of the individual resistances. Now, let's further expand on each of these electrical concepts with more technical depth. Regarding ceiling fan support, the listing of the outlet box is crucial. A listed outlet box has been tested and certified by a recognized testing laboratory such as Underwriters Laboratories or UL to meet specific safety standards and weight-bearing requirements. The listing mark on the box indicates the maximum weight the box is designed to support. When installing a ceiling fan, it is essential to select an outlet box that is listed for the weight of the fan, including any accessories such as lights or remote controls. In addition to the outlet box, the mounting hardware used to attach the fan to the box must also be rated for the weight of the fan. The mounting hardware should be made of durable materials and designed to provide a secure connection. Furthermore, the structural member to which the outlet box is attached must be capable of supporting the weight of the fan. This may require reinforcing the ceiling joists or using a support brace to distribute the weight. When installing a ceiling fan, it is important to follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully. The instructions will provide specific guidance on how to install the fan safely and correctly. Regarding meter disconnects, the AHJ authority stems from the NEC and other applicable codes and standards. The NEC provides a framework for safe electrical installations, but local jurisdictions may have additional requirements that are more stringent. The AHJ has the responsibility to enforce these codes and standards to protect the public safety. Meter disconnects are typically required when the electrical service is located in a hazardous area or when there is a risk of tampering. The disconnect allows utility personnel or emergency responders to quickly de-energize the electrical service in case of an emergency. The location of the meter disconnect must be readily accessible and clearly labeled. The disconnect must also be lockable to prevent unauthorized access. The authority having jurisdiction may also dictate the type of disconnect to be installed, depending on local codes. Regarding Ohm's law, its application extends far beyond basic circuit calculations. It is fundamental to understanding the behavior of electrical circuits and systems. Ohm's law can be used to analyze complex circuits, design electrical equipment, and troubleshoot electrical problems. In addition to the basic formula volts equals amps times ohms, there are other useful forms of Ohm's law. For example, current equals volts divided by ohms, and resistance equals volts divided by amps. These formulas can be used to calculate any one of the three variables if the other two are known. Regarding incandescent lamps, their efficiency is relatively low compared to more modern lighting technologies. Most of the electrical energy consumed by an incandescent lamp is converted into heat rather than light. This is why incandescent lamps are being phased out in many countries in favor of more energy-efficient alternatives. However, incandescent lamps are still used in some applications where their unique characteristics are desirable, such as in ovens and heaters. The color rendering index, or CRI, of an incandescent lamp is very high, meaning that it produces light that accurately renders the colors of objects. Regarding hazardous locations, understanding the classifications and divisions is essential for selecting the appropriate wiring and equipment. Class 1 locations involve flammable gases or vapors, Class 2 locations involve combustible dusts, and Class 3 locations involve ignitable fibers or flyings. Within each class, there are divisions that indicate the likelihood of the hazardous substance being present. Division 1 locations are those where the hazardous substance is normally present, while Division 2 locations are those where the hazardous substance is present only under abnormal conditions. The NEC specifies the types of wiring and equipment that are permitted in each class and division. For example, explosion-proof equipment is required in Class 1, Division 1 locations to prevent ignition of the flammable gases or vapors. Regarding wire sizing and lock nuts, the NEC provides detailed tables and guidelines for selecting the appropriate wire size for different applications. The wire size must be sufficient to carry the load current without overheating. The NEC also specifies the minimum size of the grounding conductor, which is used to carry fault current back to the source. The grounding conductor must be sized according to the size of the circuit conductors. When using lock nuts to secure conduit to an enclosure, it is important to tighten them properly. The lock nut should be tightened to the torque specified by the manufacturer. Over-tightening the lock nuts can damage the conduit or enclosure, while under-tightening can result in a loose connection. Regarding transformer cores, the type of core material used affects the transformer's efficiency and performance. In addition to laminated steel, other core materials include ferrite and amorphous metal. Ferrite cores are commonly used in high-frequency transformers due to their low losses at high frequencies. Amorphous metal cores have even lower losses than laminated steel cores, making them suitable for high-efficiency transformers. The design of the transformer core also affects its performance. The core must be designed to provide a low reluctance path for the magnetic flux and to minimize eddy current losses. Regarding root mean square or RMS value, it is important to use the RMS value when calculating power in AC circuits. The power dissipated by a resistor in an AC circuit is equal to the RMS voltage squared divided by the resistance. The peak voltage is not used for calculating power because the voltage is constantly changing over time. Regarding motor circuit protection, the NEC specifies the type and size of overcurrent protection required for motor circuits. The overcurrent protection must be sized to protect the motor from overload and short circuit conditions. The type of overcurrent protection required depends on the size and type of motor. For small motors, fuses or circuit breakers can be used. For larger motors, motor starters with overload relays are typically used. Regarding voltage drop, it's important to calculate voltage drop when designing electrical circuits to ensure that the equipment will operate properly. Voltage drop can be calculated using Ohm's law. The voltage drop in a conductor is equal to the current flowing through the conductor times the resistance of the conductor. The resistance of the conductor depends on its material, length, and cross-sectional area. Regarding electrical non-metallic tubing or ENT, it is a lightweight, flexible conduit that is easy to install. ENT is commonly used for residential wiring and for low-voltage circuits. ENT is available in a variety of colors, which can be used to identify the type of circuit or system that the raceway is used for. Regarding time delay relays, there are several different types of time delay relays, including time delay on make, time delay on break, and interval timers. A time delay on break relay activates its contacts immediately when power is applied and deactivates them after a set delay time when power is removed. An interval timer activates its contacts for a set period of time and then deactivates them. Regarding conduit bends, accurate bending is crucial for creating neat and professional-looking electrical installations. Incorrect bends can make it difficult to pull wires through the conduit and can also damage the conduit. There are a variety of tools available for bending conduit, including hand benders, hydraulic benders, and electric benders. Regarding diodes, they are used in a variety of other applications besides power supplies, including signal rectification, voltage regulation, and switching circuits. There are several different types of diodes, including silicon diodes, germanium diodes, and Schottky diodes. Silicon diodes are the most common type of diode and are used in a wide variety of applications. Regarding single-pole, single-throw or SPST switches, they are often used for lighting circuits and for controlling small appliances. There are also single-pole, double-throw or SPDT switches, which have 3 terminals and can be used to switch a circuit between 2 different paths. Regarding capacitance, capacitors are used in a variety of applications, including energy storage, filtering, and timing circuits. There are several different types of capacitors, including ceramic capacitors, electrolytic capacitors, and film capacitors. Ceramic capacitors are small, inexpensive capacitors that are commonly used in high-frequency circuits. Electrolytic capacitors have a high capacitance value and are used in power supplies and other applications where energy storage is required. Regarding 20-amp circuit breakers, it is important to select the correct size of receptacle for the circuit breaker. Using a receptacle that is rated for less than the circuit breaker can create a fire hazard. The NEC specifies the types of receptacles that are permitted on different size circuits. Regarding underground cables, it is also important to bury the cables at the proper depth to protect them from damage. The NEC specifies the minimum burial depth for different types of cables. Regarding series circuits, the total voltage in a series circuit is equal to the sum of the individual voltages. If one component fails in a series circuit, the entire circuit will be broken. In summary, a comprehensive understanding of electrical codes, components, and circuit configurations is crucial for safe and effective electrical work. This knowledge extends beyond simple definitions, encompassing practical application and problem solving in real-world scenarios.